Good evening. This is your primetime international news update. Here are the top stories from major global and U.S. outlets presented in a full TV bulletin format. International top stories. The New York Times. Headline: ICC issues arrest warrants for Netanyahu and Gallant over war crimes charges. Summary: in a historic judicial escalation, the International Criminal Court has issued formal arrest warrants targeting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. The warrants stem from accusations of war crimes linked to Israel's ongoing military operations. International reactions continue to pour in as diplomatic tensions sharply rise. The Washington Post. Headline: U.S. veto UN Security Council resolution demanding ceasefire in Gaza. Summary: the United States has blocked a UN resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, stating the proposal lacked essential security guarantees. Global criticism emerged as humanitarian concerns grow inside the region. The Wall Street Journal. Headline: Russia launches intercontinental ballistic missile at Ukraine in first combat use. Summary: Moscow has deployed an intercontinental ballistic missile against Ukraine for the first time, marking a dangerous escalation in the conflict. Analysts warn the strike signals a new phase of long-range warfare. USA Today. Headline: Senate rejects Bernie Sanders' bid to block arms sales to Israel. Summary: the U.S. Senate has voted down Senator Bernie Sanders' proposal that sought to halt future weapons shipments to Israel, reinforcing bipartisan support for continued military cooperation. CNN. Headline: Trump picks Matthew Whitaker as U.S. ambassador to NATO. Summary: former acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker has been tapped by Donald Trump to serve as the next U.S. ambassador to NATO, signaling a strategic realignment within the alliance leadership. Fox News. Headline: Trump selects Linda McMahon to lead the Department of Education. Summary: former WWE executive and SBA administrator Linda McMahon has been chosen to head the Department of Education, prompting nationwide discussion about future reforms to the U.S. school system. The Hill. Headline: Speaker Johnson bans transgender women from Capitol women's restrooms. Summary: a new policy implemented by House Speaker Mike Johnson restricts restroom access within Capitol facilities, drawing immediate backlash from civil rights groups. Politico. Headline: U.S. imposes new sanctions on Gazprom Bank to curb Russian war funding. Summary: Washington has unveiled a new round of economic sanctions targeting Gazprom Bank, aiming to choke Russian financial resources used in the Ukraine conflict. The Guardian. Headline: Ukraine fires British Storm Shadow missiles into Russia for the first time. Summary: Ukraine has launched British-made Storm Shadow missiles into Russian territory, marking the first recorded use of the long-range weapon system in the conflict. Reuters. Headline: U.S. envoy Amos Hochstein reports positive progress in Israel-Hezbollah ceasefire talks. Summary: diplomatic negotiations continue between Israel and Hezbollah, with U.S. mediator Amos Hochstein citing positive movement toward a potential ceasefire arrangement. Domestic news and justice. Fox News. Headline: Laken Riley murder trial, Jose Ibarra found guilty on all counts. Summary: the jury has delivered a unanimous guilty verdict in the high-profile Laken Riley murder case, concluding a trial that drew nationwide attention. ABC News. Headline: Susan Smith denied parole after 30 years for drowning her sons. Summary: convicted child murderer Susan Smith has been denied parole, ensuring she remains behind bars after 30 decades in prison. NBC News. Headline: bomb clone in Northwest leaves thousands without power and one dead. Summary: a massive bomb clone has hammered the Pacific Northwest, cutting power across multiple states and taking at least one life. Emergency crews continue restoration efforts. CBS News. Headline: Texas offer of 1,400-acre ranch for Trump's mass deportation centers gains support. Summary: Texas officials have proposed allocating more than 1,400 acres for federal deportation facilities, energizing political debate across the nation. The Washington Times. Headline: Judge rules Trump's 2020 deployment of National Guard in D.C. was illegal. Summary: a federal judge has ruled that Donald Trump's decision to activate the National Guard during 2020 unrest exceeded legal authority. New York Post. Headline: Daniel Penny trial continues as defense presents opening arguments. Summary: the trial of Daniel Penny, charged in the subway chokehold death incident, is underway as the defense team begins presenting their case. Business, tech, and world developments. Bloomberg. Headline: DOJ asked judge to force Google to sell Chrome browser. Summary: the U.S. Department of Justice has formally requested a court order compelling Google to divest its Chrome browser, calling it a monopoly threat in the digital market. Washington Post. Headline: Doctors Without Borders suspends operations in Haiti amidst worsening violence. Summary: escalating gang violence in Haiti's capital has forced a humanitarian organization to halt operations, raising concerns for thousands relying on medical aid. Al Jazeera. Headline: Gunmen kill at least 42 in sectarian ambush in Pakistan's Kurram district. Summary: a brutal sectarian ambush in Pakistan's northwest region has resulted in more than 40 casualties, prompting military deployment to stabilize the area. Variety. Headline: Alec Baldwin's Rust premieres in Poland, pays tribute to Halina Yuchin. Summary: the controversial film Rust has officially premiered, honoring the late cinematographer Halina Yuchin, whose tragic onset death shook the film industry. And a bulletin.